and Dragon X, who the favorites were.
KT roster.
Heat it up, give me all of your love. Give me all of your love, give me all of your love. 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 Give me all of your love.
Welcome back, everybody, to Seoul, South Korea for more LCK Spring 2019. I'm Valdez. With me is Papa Smithy. We're going to be jumping into the second series of the night. Will be Damwon Gaming up against the Jin Air GreenWings. Damwon looking a bit better with some new roster changes and better play, whereas Jin Air still looking for their first series win.
Yeah, it's very hard to give you any false optimism about Jin Air. What is not false, that's a pretty bombing track we had over those photos there. Some nice memes enacted, and can Jin Air give us anything to get excited about? Because usually you want to talk about every athletic contest or sports contest as, you know, a battle of two teams that are evenly matched. But right now, we have definitely the reverse Griffin effect going on here, and we need to see Jin Air grow some expectations, for me at least. You're a play-by-play caster, you kind of have to be like, will this be the moment? Even though it probably won't be. But for me, I want to build high expectations. My favorite thing about casting a league is when you have a team like Griffin get better and better. If they don't win in dominant fashion, you can be like, well, this was a disappointment.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the fans like, but they won 2-0, and I'm like, yes, but they're the best team. They have to get even greater. When you're at the bottom, 0-10. 19 losses, sorry, 20 losses and 1 win. You gotta actually grow something. 20 losses is an outrageous amount, but Jin Air GreenWings, an early game, a lane, anything to get started and to find some optimism that the Glad Plane might return one time in the future.
I like how somehow you're able to make it sound worse by saying it's 1-20 compared to 0-10, but they're both pretty bad. And yeah, we're just looking for some sign of hope, one shining light, someone to do something to get this team ahead. The unfortunate thing for them is that they're actually up against a team that's looking quite good and could be slated to make it into the playoffs. Damwon currently 6-4, but I feel like specifically more so their recent play, they've gotten over that little hump that they were dealing with before and looked a bunch better.
Why, Riot? Why did you have to add this week? Look at the Jin Air one.
Well, you get to see where they got their one big win.
I know, but depressingly, they lost to them 2-0. Therefore, they have to find a new win against someone else. Otherwise, the worst ever amount of games won by a team in the LCK is 8 best of ones. Jin Air has won 1. 1 best of 1. Oh. They've already lost 20 games, which means they've lost more than an entire LCS split. And good news, they have 8 best of 3s to play.
Yeah, they have a lot of time for 4 wins, we can hope, not just the one. Yeah, they went on a 4-match losing streak and then a 4-match winning streak. So Damwon, as I mentioned, got over the hump. They were facing a lot of strong teams up there, and now especially the mid lane meta has changed a lot to more of a carry-oriented meta. And ShowMaker is back with 4 MVPs in a row.
But there's actually 2 things happening at the same time, Valdez. More important than what we're seeing on screen and the numbers, which obviously for Jin Air are just terrible. Here's
First
what.
death rate,
Let's ask a question. Who was Damwon's carry until the most recent 4 series? Easy answer, right? Top laner, Nuguri. Now, ShowMaker is actually going to be a more consistent player because we know they're mixing in Flame, who has so different to Nuguri. So ShowMaker's performance is the most important thing about Damwon Gaming, because if he steps up and the pieces around him change, at least he's the rock in the mid lane that can carry them when needed.
Absolutely. And you guys will see an interesting stat here. First death rate is Damwon Gaming. They die first 65% of the time. That's what that means. So, but they still have a lot of wins, and they're above 50% win ratio. So very interesting stat that you can have that many first blood giveaways to the enemy team and still be doing well.
I love that the overlay always has decimals, so the win rate without first blood for Jin Air is 0.0%. Just to get really granular for you people
just
at
to
home.
make sure. You know, there's no chance of a 0.1 and we round it down. No, guys. It's 0.0, yeah.
All right, guys, just so you know that Jin Air will lose if they don't get first blood. It is 0.0% win rate until now. Punch is actually getting a bit of a Hoonie hat here. I'm sad that Riot actually increased the scale. If you remember, OGN had those hats that only went up to 6 KDA. 12 KDA is way out of the hat. Gonna watch some replays here. We'll start with Damwon Gaming. Remember, they fought back to beat SK Telecom T1 for the 2nd time in this SKT organization. Casper Cup now in the LCK as well. It was a close-knit one, but Damwon Gaming just too good, although I'm sure SKT fans will be frustrated by some drafting and just small mistakes that really snowballed hard.
Extremely close series between these 2 teams, and it's part of the reason, right? I mean, Damwon, they did sustain a loss to SKT the first round robin. Next time around, they were able to actually take that win in a reverse sweep, 2-1. On the backs of Flame coming back and joining the roster for round 2.
You have to remember who was winning those games. Canyon and Flame winning. We have to wait to see the roster for today, but I've heard there will be some changes. We're going to try and find some Jin Air highlights. This is not the series I cast. I already lamented how hard it was going to be to find highlights for that. We got a pretty good game from Mairang.
Of course, first blood goes to Mairang, and you know, that's what I was saying in the beginning. You know, Mairang always seems to find first blood and gets their team off to a start, and then they fall flat on their face in the mid-game. So hopefully they can turn that around.
Trying to work out how this is a Jin Air highlight. Oh, the highlight was they killed them.
Yeah. They got a kill.
They lost Baron and kills there, but they got... And that's why it's hard. It's hard to find highlights, Valdez. That is all of their MVP.
Speaking of a highlight, the only person on the team of Jin Air that has an MVP is Grace. 100 points. He has gotten it once, but does make sense that this is key player comparison, not necessarily because Grace was the only one to pick up that MVP, but because ShowMaker is certainly the shining light of Damwon nowadays.
Again, it's very, very difficult to have KDA or DPM or anything beneficial to say about a team that's won only a single game. It's why Teddy's middling or sometimes better stats were so impressive on Jin Air in his time there. Sad Plane has reigned eternal. Notice though, Damwon Gaming, after a 4-match win streak, it's not Flame and Canyon, at least for game number 1.
You get a closer look here. Punch in the jungle and Nuguri up in the top lane, so they're going back to, you know, just the new jungle here in this lineup. Hoit back here as well to be joining us in the support role, so bringing out this lineup up against Jin Air doesn't really tell you too much, but Flame and Canyon, as you mentioned, were the guys that were going up and getting the wins up against SKT, one of the best teams here in Korea, so maybe playing their other players here up against Jin Air.
But the streak is the more important thing to me. 2-0 FLICKR, Jin Air, Hanwha into 2-1 SKT is a 4-match win streak. Damwon Gaming are massive odds to continue today. Their opponents, it is Jin Air GreenWings. Cameraman got distracted there, but we're going to zoom in on the Jin Air lineup will be Nova, starting game number 1. If you're looking for Stitch, look no further. Just don't bother looking. He's just not showing up.
Yeah, I don't know where he is. Maybe they lost him somewhere along the way. As, you know, I don't know why he doesn't play, honestly. I would love to see him come out. You would think after 0 and 10, now would be the time to say, hey, maybe we should try to change something, but no. It's only the support that changes, and that bothers me a lot.
Do you remember the Family Guy episode where the volcano insurance salesman comes in to Peter and tries to sell him on volcano insurance, and Peter says, oh, I don't remember the last time about a volcano going off, and the volcano insurance guy says, well, aren't you overdue for a volcanic eruption?
Exactly.
That's maybe the Jin Air analysis here. That's how the Glad Plane happens. It's been so long, Valdez, that theoretically, aren't we overdue for a Glad Plane?
Isn't Root supposed to win eventually? Like, how many
Stitch
games
also,
did he go?
he has to show up after 10 losses,
Sure.
right?
Yeah. Well, we went over the Damwon lineup. As we mentioned, Punch back in the jungle, Nuguri up in the top lane once again, and as we said before, disappointed that Stitch is not going to be coming out here. But yeah, just got to be looking for the little things here, the little improvements for Jin Air, especially up against a strong team like Damwon, because they don't have much else going for them, Papa.
Root has had some isolated good games on both AD carry and, remember, his Vladimir game where he was so poised to be a carry in a game that unfortunately the Vladimir couldn't get over. Coach Han looks like he's growing and aging much quicker this season, understandably, with the struggles that his team is in. Coach Kim Jong-soo, we are a long way away from being at the Incheon Monarch Stadium for the World Final. He was with IG on that day. He's with the Damwon Gaming roster looking to go 5-0. Longest streak next to Griffin in the LCK right now. Damwon Gaming, let's see how they want to approach this. You were talking about the lineups and the fact that Flame and Canyon are not in. To me, the most notable thing is maybe we should combo experience with young players, as Flame can be the experience with Canyon, and Punch actually serves as the experienced player with Number.
Could be that. We were talking about Rek'Sai a lot in the first series, and finally it gets banned against Jin Air, as I suppose they do respect Mairang to play that champion, and Vlad, of course, respect up against Nuguri, just getting higher and higher tier in general as well.
I think that Jace is joining it as a first-round ban, because Jace does have flexibility to win at basically every top lane with a lot of things nerfed, and also be very usable in both mid lane, jungle, and AD carry. Literally every role except support, unless SKT is playing. So Ezreal is going to be banned on blue side. And we're going to see what actually is going to be first pick priority. Rek'Sai gone, Lee Sin for Punch is probably going to be a first pick here, given that Mairang has played a bit of it. Punch has looked outstanding on Lee. Will they ban it? There's still other things like Galio and Lucian available. But hard to see Damwon Gaming passing up on the Punch Lee Sin.
It's definitely something you can look at. There's other high-tier picks like Galio, Zoe, good first picks. But Papa, you're on the money. Lee Sin comes out and Punch puts his fist through and says, no, I want my Lee Sin.
Easier to get on the blue side than on the red side because Jin Air have to ban away tier list things. I wonder in a best of 5 if we would ever see Nuguri and Punch doing musical chairs and swapping, depending on blue and red side. The only time that was actually piloted for an extended period was Westdoor and Chowie over in the LMS, but even then, when it came to playoffs, they abandoned it. So for now, at least, we can embrace Punch Lee Sin, usually a highlight reel. Jin Air have their pick of, like you say, a lot of strong stuff. Zoe blind pick is a little bit risky because ShowMaker's LeBlanc has popped off. Notice that ShowMaker doesn't absorb a LeBlanc ban.
And the Sylas gets picked here by Jin Air when they only see Lee Sin. Definitely raises some questions, as we were talking about before. You know, where is Sylas? Can be good when you see a lot of ults that you really like to steal. Damwon might be able to help him out by giving him a Alistar ult to steal, as Alistar Kaisa is going to be going bot lane.
Can I pose a question to you? It's more of a let's hope this happens, but it's a question.
Yeah, sure.
If you were going to play your one-trick Katarina with Conqueror, would this not be the opposition to play it?
I mean, if he doesn't after winning game 1, I'd be really surprised, actually.
If you 5th pick on the red side as Damwon Gaming in game number 2, and Conqueror Cat's actually pretty interesting. It's a pretty good rune choice for her. He blind picked Katarina during Casper Cup, so he's already played it in a pro game, but LCK debut for the Katarina on ShowMaker is eluding us for now. Jin Air in the second round, they've taken the Xayah. That was actually in the pre-match 9.4 patch talk about how specifically Xayah gets the biggest buff, given that she really needs the mana regen that the Essence Reaver provides. So the Essence Reaver buff here means that the Xayah priority goes up. The win rate, however, probably going to join Sylas a little bit in the toilet after game number 1.
We'll have to see how that does go along, if maybe Jin Air can pull off the upset, but Fiora gonna be the choice here by Jin Air. Could see Sylas hop to the top lane. We'll have to wait and see who's gonna be jumping onto that champion.
Yorick Mori blind pick is being heavily suggested by a Fiora ban in the first round. So Lindarang returning to that seems ultra likely, and they're gonna ban away the LeBlanc to say, ooh, be nice to find some stuff here. So it seems like it's gonna be Grace onto the Sylas and a support Galio, but of course we're not bound to that just yet. Fiora ban, again, it's just a little bit of a non sequitur. Yes, Nuguri, you want to ban all his carry champions, they've banned 3, but Fiora does seem to mean Yorick is a very likely blind pick, and actually his response, Zoe banned by ShowMaker.
Gonna give respect to Grace for that one, and as you mentioned, LeBlanc, a pretty nice counter, we've said before in the past, and will that Yorick just be picked here by Jin Air? Lindarang has been one of those guys that has been, just in general, very... Okay, this is interesting, though. Sejuani does get picked, so they're going to hold off on the mid/top pick here for now, as, again, also the Galio could be flexed, but doubtful at this point.
Really curious for Yorick not to be picked here. I think it's even more respect to Nuguri saying, I need to know what I'm getting into and which tank or role player top lane I can get through. Remember, Urgot is gone, so Yorick looks so powerful in this spot. We're going to see a Yasuo, always exciting to see which role it's going to be in. It seems like top or mid lane is very likely. What are we pairing this with? Damwon Gaming are always so close to locking in Katarina, but it seems like mid lane Yasuo, top lane Ryze is my expectation if we go through with this draft.
Feels likely. Not going to be the Yasuo in the bottom lane, but you do have a couple of very reliable knockups already in the Alistar and the Lee Sin. Will Jin Air just, again, throw caution in the wind and say, hey, that Riven looked pretty good?
Where would the Riven be going as well? Would be an interesting query. We'll hold the point. It's going to end up being Camille top lane into the Ryze, as far as we can tell. Can stack up that Sejuani passive quickly, but this is a intriguing choice. We'll see the matchup and get the confirmation. Nuguri is the most recognized Ryze player on this team, but ShowMaker plays a lot of it as well, so 20 seconds required to know fully where everyone is going. I actually like Yasuo into the Sylas matchup, so I think this is the way I'd go if I was Damwon Gaming.
Yeah, good. Feel pretty nice, especially because Jin Air is not going to flex their Camille into the mid lane, I wouldn't think, unless they've really gone off the deep end. And yes, it's going to stay exactly like this until the end. So Grace gonna, leave the Lulu behind. He doesn't get to play Zoe or anything like that. And he's going to be hopping on to Sylas this time around. We'll see if he can actually pilot that to another MVP. Again, he's the only one on Jin Air that's gotten that so far.
In the end, this is the assignment we get. Alistar and Lee Sin, best friends forever with good old Yasuo in the mid lane. See how ShowMaker looks after we've seen Nuclear play this pick already. Nuguri on his very much trademark Ryze top lane. They held on to last pick to not get a super winning matchup for Nuguri, but they could have just taken Yorick with Fiora banned, and it seemed like a slam dunk on the side of Jin Air. Very surprised to see them not go that way. And I just don't know if the ending payoff of the Camille top lane into a ranged laner is worth kind of sacrificing Yorick just falling through picks and bans.
Well, Jin Air does have a lot of problems, and the pick ban has also been one of those, so your confusion might be met with some more troubles here for Jin Air. We'll see if they can turn it around in game number 1 up against Damwon Gaming. They still have their fans, not giving up just yet. Still, the Jin Air fans will come down to the studio. Even at 0-10, they will never give up.
What if you gave up on Jin Air and they won? Is the question you have to ask as a diehard fan of any sports team or esports team or whatever is, when you're there for the good times and you get to see an unlikely victory, you can give the great "I was here" biggest I was here moment I was ever a part of as a caster was a Jin Air game. Jin Air versus SKT, 94 Minutes to Dream.
Yeah.
A year ago, and about a year and a month ago now.
생성되었습니다.
The Z versus Z battle, another famous one. You always want to stand up and be counted. You don't want to be a fair weather fan that's only there when you hear your team is winning and tune in for that Game 5 victory.
Maybe like
so,
all the new Griffin fans.
well,
right?
you know, they haven't had a lot to be unhappy about, right? But Jin Air fans, especially the Korean fans who've come to the games for this long, for a squad that's never won anything, missing out on a turnaround game would be just a shadow photo experience you'd have to think.
Yeah, I mean, you know, every once in a while, Twitch chat, I see the fans are out there still cheering, you know, feels bad, man, but maybe this time, you never know. It's always cool to wonder and think, could it be possible? We're taking a look at some Yasuo runes here. Just a lot of sustain alongside plate footwork. This is, it's very similar to Kassadin, except he takes some different stuff in the, what's that tree called? The yellow tree.
Precision tree.
The banana tree. Oh,
We've got precision domination going on by ShowMaker, but not, interestingly, Conqueror, which of course
yeah.
was a Yasuo rune through and through. I want to talk a bit about the mid lane matchup. I mentioned how I personally like Yasuo into Sylas. Sylas usually a lane bully, right? Especially in a melee versus melee matchup. But if you think about how Sylas works, he likes to brawl a lot, and you're like, crap, these passive procs do so much damage, and you get 4 of them off almost instantly at level 3. But then you're in melee range of a Yasuo, and you're taking in all those extra Qs and all those extra auto attacks, and Yasuo likes to brawl in similar ranges. So Grace has gone a step further and said, how do I get through? Trade's actually being pretty tricky against Yasuo, and the ult still not being that high value for the Sylas in the 1v1, and he's gone Grasp. Usually we see Aftershock for mid lane Sylas, but Grasp is just his way of, in those extended brawl trades, trying to find a little bit more sustain and damage, but not straight up lose the man fights 1v1.
That's absolutely the way it is, and just based on ShowMaker's runes as well. I'm going to hold that thought as Mairang looking for another first blood. Can he get it here? ShowMaker running away, and Grace has given up. So they're not going to continue on the chase, as they don't really know what's on the other side of that brush.
Every part of that was good, though. That's the time to come mid lane. The lane is frozen under turret, which is where there's a lot of threat onto the Yasuo, but Mairang sees the cleanse and decides not to go in. A Q flash there would not have led to a kill. At best, he gets cleanse and flash from the enemy Yasuo. I just like everything about that play. The fact that it didn't lead to a kill. Again, it was a proactive moment, but this is a defensive moment.
Ooh, okay, nice job by Lindarang. Holds on to that one and is able to dodge it there.
But Mairang takes the time with the Lee Sin spotted top side to take down his Raptor camp. It won't be contested away, so for a team that I had some really harsh words for when I got to cast them last week, and I heard not many positives said about them in their following loss to Gen G. When it comes to Jin Air, we need to look for small victories because they aren't going to be finding too many big victories. And for now, at least, I like the ingenuity and the pathing, even if it hasn't yielded even a summoner spell for 5 minutes.
All the little things, you got to start somewhere and build it into something big. It's not like they're just all of a sudden one player's gonna, make the godlike play and then they just win game 1. It's League of Legends, not really that game most of the time, as I'm always looking to Mairang in the early game, and so far he actually moves past where the ward just died. There is a control ward here, but again, if you're going to gank one lane, it would be Nuguri, as he is always getting really aggressive in this lane. Let's see if they can put this on, as Nuguri is going to early flash, but here comes the hookshot flash. Do they have the damage? Is the question. Oh, they get it! Sweeper comes in, and Lindarang able to pick up first blood this time around.
And importantly, they take down Rise, who gave up going for a potential tier here to get that control. We're not sure about exact gold values, but it would have been about 50 to 75 gold between the two choices. Suspicious buy, so you would have guessed there was a control ward in the buy, but it doesn't matter. They were able to skip over it, get the kill, and Damwon Gaming, they'll be able to respond with an Ocean Drake. Not high value around the Yasuo, but definitely with Rise and Kaisa, a big early pick.
Especially because it is so early, going to be taken at 5 minutes 30. Very early on in this game. Mairang sticks around, helps push the wave. And we're going to take another look at how this comes down.
I really like how this is put together, because notice Mairang just keeps walking. He never slows down. He walks straight through what we know is a control warded brush. because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether it was or it wasn't. Just looking at the buy, you could guess a control wall. You had to be assertive, and they do the damage just in time to pick up the kill. So that's the sort of early game victory we've been looking for from Jin Air. Nicely played.
Sure, they, on the edge of, he got actually Rune Prison, Lindarang the sweeper just barely scratches him on the backside to pick up that kill as well. So there was a chance with the phase rush of Nuguri that he could try to get away from that one, but they just barely make it happen, so props to them.
Small little thing, but Mairang held on to his fully charged E for a long time, knowing that Camille was coming in with a stun. So while it wasn't 100% not overlapping CC, it was good enough to pick up the kill.
Yeah.
Punch looking for the respawned Raptors here. We saw them taken on screen by Mairang before.
Oh, gets the steal too with the smite. Mairang had his, but not as quick on the trigger. As we do have the red buff just spawning now, and Punch really trying to make a case here.
Yeah, so we're going to take longer to walk over, and no knock-up synergy for Punch yet. He's level 5.
Well, Mairang.
Oh, Hoit's here.
Oh, Hoit makes his way over. It is 2 on 4.
They don't know about
right
this.
Now.
Hoit can get a really big engage here.
Yeah, they're just trying to fight over this one. Mairang is already going to Arctic Assault away, but he is not going to get away with his life. As Hoit being there makes all the difference to pick up the second follow-up kill.
And again, this is Damwon Gaming getting an equalizing kill, and you see the different levels the team are playing on. How far ahead is Alistar on that play in comparison to how far behind Nova is? He's level 4 into level 5 after the play, doesn't have ultimate, doesn't make a counter roam, and you gotta say, it feels like the communication here is definitely not ahead of the play, because Mairang shouldn't be looking for a chance smite if he thinks there's even a chance that Alistar is roaming on the map.
Even at the end of the day, 3 on 3, is it really worth it to try that hard? Especially when, you know, as you mentioned, you don't have the information on where the Alistar is.
It's
that
3 on
included.
3 at least, with a good chance, not a little chance, a good chance of 4 on 3.
Yeah.
And Mairang's looking for a smite steal. That lets you know the communication has to be almost absent on the side of Jin Air.
And even then, are you confident you're going to win the 3v3 fight? So definitely lots of questions going into that one, as it was just a red buff, but it turns into a red buff and a life given away, as it doesn't look like Nuclear had to give away too much on the bottom side without his support. Doing just fine. Looks about 5 CS gap, not the biggest deal.
Feels like so long ago that Jin Air was doing really cool stuff again in a difficult jungle matchup to get a 3 buff on the enemy. Yes, they ultimately lost that game, but Jin Air had some cool ideas for the better part of 3 to 4 weeks before things really emphatically fell apart. Again, this game is still competitive. 1,400 gold lead already. Punch able to, I believe, skirt through vision there, but understands with this lane state and 2 control wards down, no chance of a gank in bot side.
Nothing doing there. This is great gank timing, by the way, out of Mairang, as we're going to lock him down. No flash here for Nuguri, but not quite able to land that ultimate from the Sejuani. Do they have enough damage to get him down? No! He realm warps to safety, and Nuguri will not die.
And sometimes you don't know how critical the sidesteps are. That time you definitely know. Able to live against Sejuani Camille with no flashes Rise, who had no items, by the way, double Ruby Crystal. You die there 9 out of 10 times, nice smooth moves gets him through.
Yeah, I think in that case you gotta land some other CC first and then go for the ultimate, or just combo it a little bit better, but had his Nikes on that time. Was able to avoid all of that stuff, so. Now Damwon moving as a team. They are in vision, actually, the 3 of them moving on over, which is why Nova Grace playing this one relatively passively.
Overdue for a Punch Lee Sin play. He's level 6.
Might be hard to do onto a Xayah, but he was thinking about it on the edge of vision there.
He returns to bot side. Normalcy does reign, but gold lead, like we mentioned, is already there. They know Mairang's flash should be up by now. Punch has been doing his timers.
Well, Punch having his way in the jungle on Mairang here at the red buff and over at the Gromp as well.
Alistar has Moby Boots, and also Kai'Sa ult can be following up a kick from the Lee Sin, so given that, he's going to be first roam from Damwon. Whatever you think of Hero's entrance, he's going to be super reactive. I don't know if this was spotted on vision. Small ward is actually glitching into the wall there, amusingly, around the honey fruit spawn.
You see a lot of these lane states and, you know, the first gank up on the top side, but then you take a look at CS and Lindarang's down 30. Mid lane's also down about 15, 14 at this point. It's, you know, a lot of these lanes you get the gank down, but then still not able to win them from there.
And you think about the previous gank that Nuguri lived through and you say, oh, it was close. But Valdez, let's remember what could have happened. You could have had Yorick Mori with 3 top laners banned that can go into it in basically a free spot, pressuring top, and then a later counter pick. Instead, they go for Camille, who is a melee versus ranged champion, gets interrupted.
Oh boy, doesn't have her hook shot this time around, and it's stunned into knock-up, and he even flashes away in desperation.
And it's worse than that, Valdez, because they paid off the final pick to get a Camille to lose by 30 CS even after first blood. That lets you know that they reached for something that's being turned against them. That's the part that's lost if you're just watching the gameplay. But thinking back to picks and bans, they're paying prices for something where they should have had an advantage. Their 5th pick, red pick, is actually losing them now.
That's why we were pointing that out in the pick ban, right? I mean, if we were confident about this one, if we liked the pick ban, we would have said, yeah, that's, you know, good job, Jin Air, but so far has been proving to be nothing but, you know, a negative side so far in this game. So we'll take another look. He just doesn't have vision, walks in, and Hoit once again in position.
Hoit is just apparently free to just roam anywhere on the map. There's never any consequences around his lane. Nuclear hasn't used a summoner spell yet in this game. He has got a paddock to roam on, so what is a noble cow to do but roam free?
Getting as much AD as possible. Trying to combo here into Grace, but Nova finally making a play on his support role on the other side of the map.
So now is the point where Jin Air say, crap, we're definitely losing. We don't need to see the gold disadvantage to know that. They know they're losing Valdez. But what do they have? And what can they do with it is the question they must ask that they perhaps haven't in recent games. They still have good pick CC on a teleport flank. Unfortunately, Lindarang is teleported. Mairang and Nova can lock someone down, and Root with an Essence Reaver does damage to Squishies still. So there is still a chance to find something in certain roaming duos with their bot lane. But across the map, if that doesn't happen, they're getting out-roamed, they have summoner spell disadvantages in lanes. You need to always focus on what you have, and for Damwon Gaming, unfortunately, with things like Rift Herald, it's very easy to force uneven trades that are already favoring Damwon Gaming.
Couple of ganks in the top side by the support, and opening up that play to make the Rift Herald come in right before 14 minutes, so ShowMaker just banking up the gold. He's going to get a new bank account. His first one can't even hold the amount of gold he's got now, as he is pretty fed in this game.
We know what he got in his red envelope, so it's 320 gold for already a 1,300 gold lane, a pretty non-interactive mid lane. Grace is probably looking over his side, being envious at the gold that's being, I guess, funneled into is the right way to explain it. They just have the Rift Herald, it's a gold Rift Herald, to just increase that advantage. Nuguri topside had the Nikes last time. He's got a friend this time.
This can definitely be turned around. It's already Lindarang. It's taking so much damage. Q comes in. Nice ultimate there from Lindarang. Trying to dodge here is Lindarang, though. He's not going to be able to get out of that one, as Mairang, the one who had the nice ultimate, actually, but not able to save his friend as the counter gank comes through.
Nice clean play from Punch. Not quite a highlight reel YouTube clip, but did exactly what he needed in that way and kicked the person they wanted to take down into the oncoming arms of Nuguri to spike him down. Volleyball analogies in full display. Speaking of volleyball, Grace, remember, we saw this from Chovy. Doesn't have Aftershock, but does have the ability to steal Alistair ult and zone. However, he needs damage threats to zone around, and with Kai'Sa not on the screen, on his team, and the Xayah not on the screen, not much for him to do apart from just stay alive.
We're here at 15 minutes, about 5,000 gold lead already for Damwon, and well, if there was to be good news in this one, as we were mentioning in the pick ban, maybe this means that with the counter pick on red side, we might get a Katarina in this series, might make things a bit more interesting.
Gonna watch the replay here. This time Nuguri is baiting rather than being caught overextending. Love the play from Punch. He follows through the Hextech ultimatum, kicks it, spiked down by Nuguri. Maybe they really just are splitting scrim time between Punch and Nuguri and Canyon and Flame. And like we mentioned, it means one experienced player, one rookie player is a fun kind of side benefit of that. There was a great interview with Coach Kim Jung-soo where he said, Flame will play an active part. Our biggest problem is shot calling 20 to 25 minutes and onwards. And we've definitely seen that from Damwon Gaming. If Nuguri's ahead, everything works out. If he's behind, they make pretty poor macro choices, and Flame can definitely level them up there. Are they just flexing with the hype duo against Jin Air and then go back to Flame against higher opposition? We'll wait to know. We can't know that today. We got the ultra zoom out, some nice defensive vision from Jin Air, but not really something they can defend.
And honestly, not something I try to defend when you're down this much. It's just the Cloud Drake at this point. Just give that one away, send it off, as it was never yours to begin with. They're going to give that over to Punch here, as Mairang, Nova, and Root are in proximity. Of course, not going to try to stop this one. So third Drake already, going to go the way of Damwon. See where else they want to pressure on the map. That mid lane turret's still pretty low.
That seems like the logical place to go. Nuguri's playing full locked cam mode, zooming in with a super overextension. Let's look at all his wards. There aren't any at all.
Looks
nothing.
like solo queue,
there is
honestly.
nothing. There's not even a jungler battle warning. But this is how Nuguri plays. Solo queue, and after that last kill, he's feeling frisky, overextending in a way that literally no other top laner in Korea would do.
Yeah. Honestly, if I'm the coach, you'd probably go over
It's
this
bad, right?
and try to say, you know, don't do this, and then they play against Jin Air and he gets away with it.
But that's
it's
the
like
crazy thing.
The worst thing for his habits, for sure.
He's developing bad habits because of the nameplates being on. So weird to like point at someone and be like, this is the moment where you're misplaying when they're growing a CS lead, but them's the breaks in a game like this. There's red buff on the top side. Jin Air have already lost basically every jungle camp, short of maybe Wolves, is pretty risky for them to walk up to. Look at this recall team. He full channels recall
So close.
that close to that brush. That lets you know that Damwon Gaming give no mundos about Jin Air in this game.
Damwon definitely seemed like one of the teams that would show that the most, compared to other teams that would, you know, try really hard and not try to mess up. Namely, Griffin would try super hard, especially against Jin Air.
So where's my Katarina about this?
Game 2. Just
Where's
gotta wait.
my blue side Katarina? That's what I wanted to see, the super alpha blue side Katarina. Would have had at least one conqueror in this game, but it was denied from ShowMaker going super safety first. Now, Jin Air are doing something. They got a lot of people around the control with a brush. Here we go.
Hey, trying to get on in there. There's so many members trying to kill this one guy. Can they even do it? Mairang sitting on the
he's still
turret for
alive!
so long.
Oh my God!
They can't kill him. They can't kill him. Finally, they do, but Nova almost dies. Takes Grace to come in 4-on-1 to just get a 1-for-1.
You could have written a poem about him. He lived that long. What a war hero. War poetry has been written about less. Look at all those World War I poetry. As Damwon Gaming around the map with all that time they wasted of 4 people going to take down inner turrets.
Well, it's, you know, just another day at work here for Jin Air. They're trying to get whatever they can, but honestly, this doesn't look like much of a positive.
If this was slower, you know, you could throw out the hashtag worth, but it takes so long that Nuguri knows that he's doing the right thing here. He uses his flash. Meanwhile, the map is just being ultra pressured by the bot lane. It takes so much from the side of Jin Air to take down Nuguri, but they killed their man, and at least they got Nuguri's KDA down. Small victories, right?
Yeah, you know, it's only 2 KDA now to the side of Nuguri. That feels bad for him in a Jin Air series, I guess, as Punch is on the hunt. But there is a Sejuani nearby. Can they get on top of Lindarang here? Can be hard when it is Camille.
He's got no...
Yeah, well, not when you face check here. Hook shot. Doesn't look like it's going to help at all. As just flexing on him now is Punch.
End up trading summoners there, but it does relieve pressure for someone like Root. However, Root doesn't want to go down here. Will be able to walk away. The gold lead's got to silly territory at this point. It's already over 7,500. They have to fight super hard to get access to their Raptors at 20.
Well, those aren't their Raptors anymore, as Punch and Hoit own those. Gonna have to spend some money if you actually want to visit the Raptors at this point, as all the vision now being denied. Finally, there's vision up in that lane, but that's not the lane that Nuguri's in anymore. But even on the bottom side, they have vision, so Everything going right here for Damwon Gaming in game number 1. And honestly, if you are Damwon Gaming, I would flex in game 2. Wouldn't you, Papa?
I definitely would, and ShowMaker would be the first person I would assume to do so, but I want to draw attention to the fact that he is the one who hasn't flexed. He hasn't gone for IE second. He's gone for Static Shiv, now the pretty much always choice on first item over Phantom Dance. It was pretty much directly nerfed specifically for melee champions like Yasuo and Tryndamere. And then into the Sterix Gauge for a bit of safety. He went Cleanse in the matchup as well. So he's the one who's not flexing. However, after watching Nuguri Zombie push it down, maybe he's overdue for that game 2 category.
It's what we're all hoping for. We'll add a little bit of light into the darkness of the series as Damwon Gaming now up 8,000 gold, looking for a 4th Drake. Second Mountain would be nice, as maybe Grace can do something with the Alistar ultimate.
The front line is really beefy. Remember, it's Galio, a Alistar ulted Sylas, and also Sejuani. I didn't see if there's 2 items en route just yet. Maybe there's a outside chance of something happening. Punches on the sideline. Here we go.
Okay, they get the knock up here on a Grace, but he does have that ultimate. Through the stopwatch goes to Sejuani ultimate as Punch able to get away from that one. Good timing.
Definitely feel good about getting Camille and Galio ult in exchange for the stasis, given that GA is a very common pickup for the Lee Sin.
Sejuani too.
Yeah,
Pretty much everything is burned on the side of Jin Air as they found one chance, one opportunity to give it everything they had, but wasn't enough.
Had the 2 items on the Xayah. They hoped, they prayed, but it will not pay off in this regard. Damwon Gaming, they have a lot of Baron damage. They're rotating over. They actually skip over the vision unless the Realm Walk was sighted. I don't think it was. They're going to get this one almost instantly.
That's insane damage. That took all of 10 seconds as it's Yasuo Kai'Sa Rise.
Did it take 10 seconds?
I'd say about 10 seconds, yeah.
It was so fast.
Well, they have double mountain too, so it was theirs. Very, very free.
Love the Bjergsen style Realm Warp into the Baron. He always deserves a shout call for that one. He definitely, shout out I should say, he definitely popularized it. And now Damwon have a Baron, and it feels like whatever item timings for Jin Air are now entirely irrelevant. It's not massively, it's not like it's 4 items versus 2, but the carries have their core items. Not 100% crit yet on the Yasuo. No crit cloak into the build, no cloak of agility. So because of that, it's not quite the most flexing, but I'm just waiting for Damwon Gaming to stop playing with their food. Yasuo and the Rise inside lanes for now.
I can do a nice amount of split pushing with the Rise. You get the Yasuo up there. We have Guardian Angel now for Lee Sin. It's his first completed item after the jungle item. So he's really thinking about his KDA. You know, he wants to go in there, he wants to make plays, get a bunch of assists, and increase that number. As I don't blame him. It's a good item when you're ahead, in all seriousness. You know, you don't necessarily need damage on the Lee Sin. You just want to make sure you're doing your job and staying alive.
Nuclear has stayed alive, but is a 0-0-0 stat line, so I think he's actually getting a bit desperate for any kill involvement.
Has less CS than the Xayah, but has a 800 gold bounty.
What does it mean, Valdez?
I still have yet to find out.
It means that the average gold level for Jin Air is really low among their carries.
That is the real analysis. As bounties are fun in this game right now in this patch.
There's some word that those will be adjusted. Not seeing them at present. 850 gold now. There's the update for you.
Yeah. And Root still has more CS than him.
Root definitely does feel like petty for one of the first times this season. That Vladimir game and this game. It's one of those like, well, I kind of did my thing, and you know.
I mean, it averages, you know, Xayah, but also Sylas, Sejuani, and Camille, I would assume, right? Because
it's everyone except Galio.
Yeah, everybody.
So that's the problem is I saw 2,500 in mid. I imagine there was similar in the top lane.
I mean, top lane's probably like
4,000, right?
Yeah, something like that.
And that's how it works, guys. You deduct the supports, and then you average the other 4. And even though Root's doing good for his team as a whole is so far behind that it's that's pretty much the 1v9 stat, right?
Yeah.
That's the I'm doing my job. Unfortunately, other things aren't coming together.
only 3 bounties so far on the side of Damwon. Have we had a support bounty yet?
Yes.
That's like even possible?
It is rare. You have to get kills, basically.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. Suppose that wouldn't happen through CS. As Baron, last kind of breath here of the Baron as Lindarang takes a bunch of damage. Trying to push 2 lanes now. The 4-1 in effect. As we do go, and Jin Air once again just looking for an opportunity to go, but you can see all their health bars don't exist right now, so gonna take it very slow. As in goes Lindarang. I said slow, but they're looking for Nuguri here. Can they actually kill the Rise? Nope. The answer is going to be no. As big knock up there into the Yasuo ultimate. Close the book, guys, as Damwon are looking to write the last chapter of game number 1 here. Nuclear ends up taking a bunch of damage on the backside, so maybe they can't end it right now, but they will get 2 inhibitors, at least on the backside of this one, as Damwon continue their domination.
And it seems like Jin Air can't even find a single turret. They didn't find one in that series. 2 series ago, they found 1 each game in their series against Gen G. Pushing up now. Damwon Gaming, they want to close it out.
Cannon has like no health and he's TPing on it. They really want to end this game. They're going to go home at this point. They're not going to back off. They're not going to play it safe. They know they're very far ahead. Push continues coming on in. Nova and Grace, Mairang, all these tanks trying to keep them alive, but down goes the Silas. And wow, Nuguri's doing a lot of damage on the backside. Looking for 1 more kill. They want to boost their KDA as much as possible. But Lindarang gonna help them out with that one as the knockup comes in. Yasuo actually dies. And nearly does Nuguri as well, as the Nexus will be going down here for game number 1 right now.
No jump scares in the close there. It was tricky, they didn't have the minions or the Baron buff, but it doesn't matter when you're 10,000 plus gold ahead. Pre 30 minutes, Damwon Gaming, you kind of are looking to find out how they do it rather than if they do it when it's against Jin Air GreenWings, and the losing streak continues, and it's hard to have too much sheer emotion. The other side of Jin Air, I actually thought Jin Air, in terms of play, did things better than they have in recent games. I like how they approached some of the moments, but of course it did fall into the same play pattern there. And my only real problem is with the draft in the 2nd round on the red side. No payoff. The Yorick blind pick not taken. The end up of the final pick, Camille, gets basically Flame Horizon to death and then split push down by Nuguri. Things to be done on the side of Jin Air, but sadly the normalcy of this losing streak has set in.
Yep, it's interesting because we're actually seeing Mairang pack up his stuff here. Maybe we're going to see a sub come in for the jungle. Not 100% sure. That would be C's. I had to actually take a look at the roster and see, wait, they're going to sub someone, and it's, of course, not going to be Stitch. So who's it going to be?
Hard to say what that will change, given that Mairang has had some isolated really good moments. I think he's also been the most kind of guilty of, at least from watching the games, kind of being like, okay, this game is lost, and not actually trying to scrap harder. Yes, you die a bit more. Yes, if it doesn't go your way, you lose the game more. But it's a lot of those moments where you look at it and say, if not a resistance now, the game is going to be over one way or the other. So game number 1, it's another addition to the lost call.
It's interesting that you use that analogy of scrapping hard, because you hear that a lot in traditional sports, right? A team's not doing well, they got to scrap harder, you know, they give up because of the physical aspect, you know, but it's rare that you see that actually in esports. But this is like one of the first times where I can actually agree and say it does feel like a team that's kind of, I wouldn't say given up entirely, but at times in some of these games when they're just getting pummeled for like the 21st time, can you blame them when a player, you know, who's young just begins to say, you know, what am I going to do now?
The way I look at it is, if you exit a Jin Air series with better KDA, the blood is not less on your hands. 20% goes to every player on this team. And at the end of the day, you win as a team, you lose as a team. And if they're not all of one mind, if they're not all trying to do something, you get moments like this where the whole team does 23,000 damage, Nuguri overextends to do 20,000. I don't think you can point at your KDA next season if you're somebody on Jin Air and say, well, it was better than my teammates, and have that actually mean something.
No, of course not, especially when you give up the first kill on your team, right? So when you're getting invaded, trying to get on top of a rep buff, but you know, it's not all Mairang, and it's an interesting choice as well to sub him out, as we were saying. Would have rather, see Stitch come in, as we were saying before, but we'll have to wait and see what other changes happen, guys, as we're going to go into a quick break before Game 2.